Good Sunday morning to you. It's good to be able to meet with you again this morning, and thankful for the beautiful day to be able to meet outside. I love outdoors, as I hope you do, and this time of year is about as good as it gets. Unless you've got allergies, this is one of the most beautiful. May is, in my opinion, one of the most beautiful months of the whole year. And so I'm glad to have a minute to be with you this way, and we can talk together for just a little bit. As looking around this week, I've seen a lot of different things to think about. And one is, and a lot of you may not follow this, but I follow strength sports, the sports where weightlifting and powerlifting and that sort of thing. And I've always liked that kind of sports because you really can't win anything in that just by being lucky. You can't just make a lucky shot or a lucky play or happen to make a lucky hit off the ball. You have to basically walk up to a weight, and it's you and the weight. It's you against the weight. It's not you against someone else, but you against the weight. And so you basically just step up and lift this weight. And whether you can do it or not is simply between you and the weight. And yesterday, a guy broke the world record for deadlift. And that's always amazing to me that someone goes beyond what anyone has ever done before. And so it made me start thinking about strength, about being strong, and how does a person get stronger, or how does a person get strong enough to make a change in their life? All this virus thing has taught me one thing very clear, that we can change. Whether people says they think they can, things have changed amazingly in the last few couple of months. And it's not been because of something that the government done or that the virus done or anything like that. This has simply been a change that people have made. In other words, they told us to social distance. They told us to stay out of certain things. They told people to close their stores. They closed their stores. You're keeping social distance. You're wearing a mask, or you're wearing gloves, or you're not going. Everyone made these decisions themselves, and simply at the instruction or the direction. They didn't have to do these things. Everyone chose to do these things. You chose to stay home. You chose to do these things. These are things you're doing, not someone else is doing. And you're choosing to do these things. So that tells me that very clearly should be to everybody that you can change. You can make changes, dramatic changes, and everyone can. And so thinking about that, I just thought about how many people I see every day and have for a long time tell me how they wish they could change and how they wish they could overcome something in their life that's been there haunting them or bothering them for a long time. And I want to talk to you about how to make that happen today, how to make a big permanent change in your life, or how to change something in your life permanently. And if you think I'm going to tell you a certain magic prayer, or to go to church, or to get right with God, or something like that you can do all this in one fell swoop, then you don't need to bother to listen to me. It's never worked that way for me. It's always been something that has been a process. It's always been something that I had to go to God with, but God didn't just fix everything and take all of my troubles away and just make everything happy in my world. He has guided me through things, and there's certain things that you have to do. And Jesus himself talked about this in a passage in the 11th chapter of Luke, when he was confronted and told that the reason you're going around here and you can cast out devils is because you're the ruler of the devils. You're using the devil. You're Beelzebub, so used. But he said that's how you do all these things. Is you just go around and you make people well because you're using the evil power to do it. And Jesus very logically, rationally argued with him and said, that ain't the way these things work. They can't work that way. He says that famous phrase, a house divided itself against itself cannot stand. A house divided against itself cannot stand. And he says, Satan don't fight against Satan. Why does he go around tearing people? Why does evil? And I'm going to say you something. You don't overcome evil with evil. You may fight fire with fire, but you don't overcome evil with evil. All you do is make more evil. You only can overcome evil with good. That's the only way. There's no, I'll be bad to you. I'll be worse to you than you were to me, and it'll make it right. It won't. It'll just make both of you bad people. So how do you deal with this? And Jesus said a very simple thing. He says, if a strong man can have his house, as long as he's got his armor and everything up, he can have his house safe. But if a stronger man shows up and takes his armor, then he'll do whatever he wants to with his stuff. So the basic principle is whatever's stronger, whichever the stronger one, logically, whichever stronger one is going to end up ruling or pushing the other out of the way. And then he uses a very weird story or example. And he says this. He says, if someone has an unclean spirit, if there's this unclean spirit, and it's not an evil spirit, but an unclean one, that means something that makes the person ashamed, something that makes him feel guilty, something makes him feel weak, something makes him feel dirty, something like that. If that's in the person, if it leaves, he said, when it goes away, it looks around for another place to go and walks through dry places and can't find no place to go. So what does it do? It says it tries to come back. Well, when it comes back, he said, if it finds that house that it left all clean and everything back in order and everything looking good, he goes and gets 7 more spirits, he says, that are even stronger than he is, and brings them back and moves in. And he said, then the last shape of that person is worse than the first. Now that sounds really weird and mystical and all that, but it's not. It's really a very practical message. The reality is this: when you do decide you're going to quit an addiction, quit a bad habit, get away from a way of thinking, like you're always thinking about your past or something, if you decide you're going to do that, you can get rid of this thing. Say you do. You swear it off, you pray, you go whatever, you go to counseling, you go to rehab, whatever. You swear this thing off, you get rid of it. You say, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to get clean. I'm going to stop obsessing. I'm going to stop worrying. I'm going to stop whatever. I'm going to quit this. You know that it isn't long. It isn't long. No matter how dramatic an experience, it isn't long until that thing will show back up, just like this unclean spirit. It won't be long till you'll find yourself, it's going to start wanting to come back into your life and be a part of you again. It's going to come back and it's going to want back in where it was. And the fact is, the reason that this man could not resist that, the reason that this man could not overcome was because he did not have anything in its place. The house was empty. There is only one way to overcome something like this. You can't just say, I've quit this. You have to replace it with something good. You cannot replace a evil or a bad addiction with nothing. You can't just say, I'm going to quit this, and I ain't going to do it no more. That's good. That's first step. You have to desire that. That has to be the desire. You know, there's a fascinating passage in the Hindu text that talks about the beginning of the world, and where our Bible says there was nothing, there's void and empty and now everything, and then God said, let there be light. Well, in the there's a Hindu text that's real close to that, but it says that first in all this voidness, that God first had a desire, and then he done everything. And that's actually true. First, you have to have a desire. If you want to get rid of this, you've got to have the desire first. And then after you have the desire, you've got to make a commitment. And this commitment can't just be to get rid of something. You have to commit to something that's going to take its place. You have to decide that I'm not going to just quit this. Instead of just quitting this, I'm going to start doing this in its place. I'm going to replace this with something. I'm going to replace this with a new habit, a new way of thinking, a new way of doing things. This whole virus thing's already proved that you can make changes, so you can make a change in your life and commit to doing something better. Now, you know why he said that there was, if it comes that empty and that comes back, you're like 7 times worse. Do you know why that says that way? If you've ever done this, if you ever said, I ain't doing this again, and you swore it off to somebody, you promised somebody you'd never do it again, you promise yourself you'd never do it again, you promise whoever, you promise somebody you never do it again. If you break over and do that again, you know you feel 10 times worse than the first time you promised you wouldn't do it. You know you feel worse. And that's what he's saying, that this is going to feel even worse. You're going to feel even more ashamed, even more unclean, even worse than what you would have if you had stayed clean in the start with. And so you can make a change in your life, and you can, but you must replace these bad things, whether it's you're thinking about the past, whether it's fear. If it's fear, you have to replace it with love. Fear and love is just like this in life. You can live, and they're always present. You say, well, I'd just like to live and have no fear at all. You can't if you love people. There's another interesting old text, an ancient myth of some sort that says that this being was one being, and but he was lonely, and then he decided that, well, it's not good. I don't have nothing to be afraid of because it's just me, but I'm also lonely. So he decided to split and make two beings. And whenever he did that, there was all of a sudden the possibility of being hurt, and all of a sudden the possibility of being afraid and being injured. And that's the thing about love. You can't love people without the risk of getting hurt, but you must understand that there's always going to be fear present with love. But the one you feed, the one you put the emphasis is, will be stronger if you replace the fear in your life with love. When the fear comes back again and tries to get into your life again, the love will be there so strong he won't be able to get in. The stronger commitment is the one that wins out in your life. If you're more committed to this than you are to that, the stronger commitment will win in your life, and it will make the changes and make those changes permanent for you. You can do something about your situation. What do you desire this morning? What is your commitments to? And I can tell you something else. You can't get rid of one selfish addiction by replacing it with another selfish addiction. You want to really be successful. You're saying, I'm addicted to this and I want to clean up for myself because I want to leave clean. That ain't good enough. You need to give it up because I want to have a family. I want to be able to love people and love them the way they want, and I want them to love me. I want to love them more than I want to love this addiction, whatever it is. You have to find something, or love God, or you have to find something, not a selfish addiction, but a addiction towards something outside of yourself. If you really want this to work and you want to make it, your desire for something good has to be stronger than your desire for something evil. And you can't just say, I'm going to quit this and not mess with it no more. It just don't work that way. You can have a better life. You can make changes. It's not a magical thing. It's a real thing. It's something you have to do. Something God said I'll help you do. God will give you the tools to do it. God will give you the opportunity to do it. He'll guide you in how to do it. And it's just like all these restrictions with this virus and all these things they say, here's what you do. And you see this long list, wash your hands, all this. You still have to do that. They can tell you what to do, but they can't make you do it. Nobody can make you do it. You're doing it because you choose to do. And if you want the benefits of so many wonderful things in life, you have to be willing to make that choice and follow through. What do you desire this morning? What are you willing to commit to? If you're willing to commit to something better and you desire something better, you'll get it. It's there. There's no magic in this. God has made it to where anyone, whosoever will, is the way it says in the scripture in many places. Whosoever will. That means whoever wants it. Whoever's willing to do it. Whoever's willing to commit, whoever's willing to whatever you desire. If you desire something better, you can have better. If you desire to get through this, you can get through it. If you desire to overcome something, you can overcome it. God will make a way. He'll give you the tools. He'll enable you to do so. You want to change your life? Commit to something better. Don't leave your life empty. Don't just swear off a problem and say, I'm not going to do this anymore. Replace that with something better, and your life will change. I trust and pray you have a wonderful week. I trust that the day extends out to the beautiful morning, becomes every morning that you experience is beautiful. And if that happens in your life, it'll be by your choice and by God's grace. May the Lord bless you.